Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and welcome to my health report on dairy. This is a very controversial issue. You know, there are numerous cultures around the world that have been eating dairy for thousands of years and numerous cultures that haven't eaten dairy in thousands of years. So, and both very, very healthy cultures. Bottom line is we do not need dairy to be healthy, but eaten properly can be a very healthy food. Now, we've pasteurized, homogenized our milk. We've made it very difficult to digest most conventional dairy products. Thousands of years ago, they discovered a way to solve this problem. And it's phenomenal, fascinating really. So what they would do is they would take the raw milk and let this cream rise. When the cream would rise, they would take the cream and separate it and take that cream and they would use that, only the cream, to eat raw. They would take it and dilute it with water to make milk out of it. They would cook with it and they would use that raw because it was extremely easy to digest. The skim part is where the harder components to digest are. That's where the casein, the hard to digest protein is. Mother's milk has 4 times as much whey protein, easy to digest protein, and only half the amount of casein. And the casein that's hard to digest, we're not designed to digest it really, is in the skim part of the milk. The lactose, which is why people become lactose intolerant, is actually in the skim part of the milk. So what they would do is they would take the skim part of the milk and they would turn that into cheese, and they would take the cream and use that raw to eat or to drink or to cook with. So when you take the skim part and turn it into cheese, the fermentation process turns the lactose into lactic acid, easy to digest even if you don't have the enzyme lactase to digest it. And the vast majority of adults over 4 years old do not have the enzyme lactase to digest that. So more often than not, people who think they're lactose intolerant, it's not really the reason they don't digest the milk. It's usually because they have very weak digestive strength. They don't digest either the casein or the lactose or many of the other harder to digest constituents that exist in the skim part of the milk that are made easier to digest with the cheese. So kind of a phenomenal concept. But then we have this homogenization process, which is it's challenging. They take the milk and they drive it through a filter and they make all the little fat molecules the same, homogeneous. And when that happens, it renders the milk extremely difficult to digest. Studies link homogenization to arterial plaque and lymphatic congestion and allergies and fatigue and a host of conditions that we link dairy products to. One enzyme called xanthine peroxidase is an enzyme that gets released into the bloodstream. The scientists believe actually irritates and damages the arterial wall and brews arterial plaque. So the homogenization process is a problem. Well, guess what? The cream on top isn't homogenized. So you don't have to worry about homogenization when you take whipping cream and then you just add milk to it. Now you have a really nice product. The second really challenging part of milk is the pasteurization process. There's ultra pasteurization where they heat the milk up to like 160 to 260 degrees for 1 second and basically kill everything. Not the best choice. Do not choose ultra pasteurized. Regular pasteurized milk that says pasteurized heats the milk up very, very high, kills pretty much everything as well. Better than ultra pasteurizing. And then there's what's called vat pasteurizing, where they only heat the milk to 135 degrees for about 20 minutes. That allows a lot of the enzymes and the good bacteria to actually remain. The milk is alive. The shelf life is only about 7 to 10 days at the most, where the ultra pasteurization will last 2 to 3 months. So clearly this milk is alive, and that's what you're looking for, and you can definitely find it. It's becoming more and more popular. The cream on top, loaded with the fat-soluble vitamins, easy to digest, is always pasteurized at lower temperatures, because if they pasteurize it too hot, it won't whip. So when you buy whipping cream, you want it to whip, but it won't whip if it's homogenized or if it's pasteurized at too high of a temperature. So again, this problem seems to be solved. The last piece of the puzzle is the chemicals that they put in the milk, the bovine growth hormones and the pesticides and the antibiotics. They're all fat soluble. So where do they go? They go into the cream. They go into the fat molecules. So if you want to have good, healthy, non-homogenized, low-heat pasteurized milk or vat pasteurized whipping cream, get organic. Make sure you get organic dairy products It's critically important. Now, if you ever were in a situation where you wanted to have some dairy products like in a chai or a coffee or something like that, then order skim milk, because skim milk, even though it's much more difficult to digest, loaded with more proteins, it doesn't have the fat to carry the chemicals. So a couple of very beautiful tips about how to dance around the homogenization and the pasteurization process. Interestingly, also, is another old Ayurvedic recipe, which is that before you drink the milk, that you should boil it. And when you boil the milk, it actually makes the milk more digestible. Also, it protects you from bad bacteria and things like that. Particularly when you're having raw milk, it's always a good idea to boil that milk first. Well, it's also understood that if you boil even pasteurized milk, then you actually will make that milk more easy to digest and kind of negate the damage of the pasteurization process. Because when you pasteurize milk, the casein molecule gets fractionated and broken down into pieces, but not completely broken down, and it renders it in a way that we really don't digest it at all. But when you boil the milk, it finishes the job of breaking down the hard to digest casein protein molecule and makes it that much more easy to digest. So look for organic, vat pasteurized whipping cream. It's available. Organic Valley makes it. Many other companies are beginning to make vat pasteurized milk. Kelowna, Iowa makes a product like that. So it's available, and you take the cream and you can use that and dilute it and cook with that, and then look for organic cheese, and you're in great shape. Always boil the milk. If it's even pasteurized, bring it to a quick boil, let it cool, and then drink it accordingly, and you'll be in great shape. There is much more to this discussion on dairy in the article associated with this video and on my website. Please go to lifespa.com for more information. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Thanks for listening.